Some of the main elements that might define modern women are their constant need for attention and validation. Part of me doesn't even entirely blame them, because if you look closely, that's just how they are being raised these days. Our society, culture, and narratives about gender shape their mentality regarding themselves and men. From an early age, they're cultured to see themselves as princesses who can do anything they want without consequences, and that they're superior to men in every way possible. They're trained to emotionally manipulate men into providing them with their resources, money, wealth, and assets in marriage, only to break off and enjoy the state's luxuries handed over to them. At any point in time, they never have to face any sort of rejection from society or from men. So when a man starts to ignore them and reject them, they really can't stand it and don't know what to do. As we all know, gender dynamics continue to change today, as they always have. Men who once received praise and admiration for their masculinity are now nearly universally viewed with contempt by society. Women who were formerly admired for their feminine beauty are now being pressured by culture to lose their feminine characteristics and become more masculine. Men should be aware of the fact that practically everything women do is motivated by a desire for approval and attention. Every woman on earth desires some amount of attention, and if you visit social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Snapchat, you'll see them openly yearning for it. In my opinion, attention serves as their currency, since without it, they would not be able to gain the support of males. Just consider it. We would never socialize with women if they were unable to entice guys and we didn't want to have a physical relationship with them. Never would it take place. Just think about it. If women couldn't attract men and we didn't want to sleep with them, we would never associate with them, let alone put up with their bad behavior. It would never happen. Men would ignore them, and they would have had to fend for themselves, and that's just the reality. The only reason why you and I even bother to speak to women is that at the end of the day, we want comfort and intimacy from them. More and more men are choosing to ignore women as a result of men going their separate ways, which makes women want men more, because women naturally crave acceptance and validation. Women want those men more and more, while men neglect them more and more. This is something all of us have witnessed and experienced from time to time, and there's nothing wrong in talking about something that is so apparent. This got me thinking about how the dynamics are constantly changing for men going their own way. They have to deal with family, friends, colleagues, and society in general, who are curious to know their reasons for choosing not to play the dating game anymore. People are genuinely curious and have their own understanding of MGTOW when they learn more about it. There are many who already believe in it, and there are some who completely reject it. Have you ever questioned why so many women feel entitled in general? Why do so many of them expect to always be validated and accepted, and yet they're not responsible for doing anything? Men are supposed to do everything for them, even in the so-called age of equity and equality that we live in today. It almost seems as though they believe they have a right to certain things from men. I mean, it begins with the very first exchange. The man is the one who should approach the woman when a guy and a girl see each other and appreciate what they see, which he plays hard to get. The male is meant to come up with a way to grab her attention. She anticipates the man approaching her, and that he will do so bearing presents, praises, lots of attention, desire, and lust for her. Then, it's the guy who's supposed to ask her out on a date. It's the guy who's supposed to figure out the perfect date, arrange everything, make sure he arranges the reservation, and then ensure he has a comfortable ride to pick her up and drive her around. Then, it's the guy who's supposed to pay for the date. It's the guy who's supposed to pay for the drinks, for the gifts, and for anything else. If he dares to ask if she can split the bill, he will be immediately judged as some miserly coward who wants a female to pay. After they've been to the date, it's the guy who's supposed to make the move and give her the first kiss. It's the guy who's supposed to make the move in bed and lead her, while the girl still plays hard to get, and yet expects to be treated like royalty. Men are expected to take the lead. Plain and simple. Somewhere along the line, I think everyone must have thought about why women are always the ones who expect everything to be done by the man. I mean, even in long-term relationships, the guy is supposed to do the tough housework and provide for the entire family. Where did the woke feminist go now? What happened to equality, right? But the question is, why is it that women expect everything from a man, especially when all they can do now is talk about equality and how men have oppressed them and controlled them? People tell me that MGTOW has existed forever and there will always be men that choose to go their own way. But I doubt that there was actually ever a philosophy with its own language and acronyms to explain these ideas to men and spread them around the world. Women appear to have issues with that. They are aware that in the internet age, rumors spread quickly, and from their perspective, the MGTOW is simply misogynistic rumor and gossip that diminishes their reputation and worth, which renders them less desirable and lowers their social standing. They also don't actually control it, and the shame-based language is no longer effective because it relies on convincing a guy to take a heroic role. A man might formerly be coerced into marriage in the past, after which he would be in charge of his family. On the other side, today you can humiliate a man into getting married, and the government will take away his family as well as his resources. With initiatives like the Me Too movement, it appears to be getting more difficult to mislead successful and intelligent men. The most sought-after men are typically the ones who devote the majority of their efforts to advancing their professions, maintaining physical shape, and achieving financial success. They have the intelligence to avoid destroying their life. Men in the top 20% of the population now dread women. I've stated it many times before, but feminists recruit more women to their causes by ignoring those males because if they do, more women will become feminists. Thus, those women go bonkers and explode in anger at all men. So, in a manner, by advising males not to get married, MT is promoting feminism. Men who have chosen their own paths should be thanked by feminists since we are assisting in their further development. But they continue to oppose it. However, feminists are extremely against MT and they likely believe that it harms them. But in reality, it just radicalizes women. In fact, I believe that women with alternatives have a stronger case for doing so. While granting men their independence, feminism continues to advance while more men turn away. Feminists, I suppose, would truly want to give men what they want rather than attempt to take more and more things away from us if they were reasonable about it and saw that more guys leaving the field is simply making them more unbalanced. The final point I want to make is how much free time you now have. It's fantastic that you have more time to exercise, watch TV, and explore the world around you. I believe reading more books may broaden your mind and increase your vocabulary. But if you're single, you'll have to compete with those hard-working couples for housing. Therefore, you ought to spend your leisure time in a more productive manner. To help with the rising expense of being a single man in our culture, consider streaming your travel adventures in the mountains and earn some money. Try to incorporate your business into your leisure pursuits so you may accomplish two goals at once. The majority of men already don't save enough money for retirement. So, feminism gave women encouragement and empowered them to start living their lives in such a way that they wouldn't need the help of a man. It taught them that they could be financially independent if they made the choice to study and climb the corporate ladder. It taught them that they could also provide for their families and make money to raise children, even if they didn't have men in their lives anymore. It enabled them to think that they could live their lives without families, without having children, and be whom they wanted to be, without having to worry about their biological need to have children and raise them up. Over time, what happened was that more and more women chased their corporate dreams, thought that they could take over men's role in society, and practically waste away their fertile and prime years in either pursuing a career or in chasing the stereotypical bad boys. But soon enough, when these women got to their 30s and above, they started realizing that with every passing year, it was becoming harder and harder for them to give birth. And so, started their change in mindset and realization that life wasn't just about becoming wealthy or believing in the extreme forms of feminism that make these women think they can live their lives without men or without having families and adhering to their natural feminine tendencies. They also began to realize that men of their age prefer younger women and began to wonder why they were being ignored by men. The truth of the matter is that a 35-year-old man with a job, money, and a car can entice younger, more attractive women in their 20s. Men are becoming more and more independent and adept at ignoring women because they believe they have no other choice. Women, on the other hand, are slowly coming to this realization and are unsure of what to do. Men going their own way are rejecting women, even the most stunning ones who have never been rejected by a guy. How will this develop over the next 5 or 10 years? Actually, we don't know. However, it is well known that men will no longer live their lives in the same manner and allow themselves to be used by women because they have had enough. Will men in the future possibly think that they need women more than they realized? Or will women come to terms with the possibility that they need men more than men need women in their lives? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content for men.